I'm going to make a little drawing of a detail of a painting by Georges de Latour, an old man with a beard. And I will try to first put the outlines on the paper and be disciplined in that. Oftentimes I start adding tonal values and so on before I have a complete outline, but since there are people who try to learn how to draw, and I think it might be good to draw the outlines first. So I've drawn the profile of the old man, his face here, and now I have to position his eye here and that shadow. So I try to get the proportions right. Here. And I'm working on blue paper, tinted paper, and now I have to place that ear. And I have a little print. I printed it out. So I am looking for this angle. And another angle is this one. So if I do this and I do this from this to this under, then the underside of his ear must be here, more or less. And then you can try to carefully draw it in. And now I'm looking at the horizontal line, it's more or less here. So I've positioned his ear. And I have to get this as well. And now I'm looking at this. This relative to his ear is here. So this is more or less the outline of his face. And first I'm going to add shadows, tonal values, and then I'll add heightenings. And I try to let the paper do its work as well as a mid-tone. So I'm going to do this shadow here. And it's important to determine which tonal values the paper actually represents of the image that you are drawing. So his eye. here. And it is imaged by candlelight, so the lighting is quite weak actually, and there are some very dark shadows. And blue paper and using dark and white chalk, it reminds me of a drawing by Gerard ter Borch of his father. Oh, I'm not sure if it's Gerard ter Borch or his brother, but there's a very beautiful drawing which I really like, of the father of the ter Borchs. And working on the beard, and I will make this dark as well, so you get this really dark and light effect. Georges de Latour was really someone who used clair-obscur in the 17th century. Beautiful work he made, and so this figure also has this effect by strong lights and darks and lights, so I try to get that in this drawing as well, and that's why I don't use a regular pencil, but in this case a Giosonda Koh-i-Noor Negro. That's the name of the pencil. I will put the name of the materials that I use in the description of the video. Yeah. And I'm working towards the moment that I can use a white pencil or chalk pencil to make this lighter. And this needs to be dark as well. And in a drawing like this, you can wonder, how far do I go to draw this? Do I draw his whole head, or do I leave this sketchy here? You know, that this is detailed, but what do I do here? But my main focus is with his face, actually, so I think it can be a very nice atmospheric drawing just to draw his face. By adding a bit of context here, some sort of background, it's like there is some sort of air around his face then. And I want to work on his face a little bit more before I add white chalk. And for now I'm just adding tonal values and shadows, and because I want to have this finished before I add white chalk, actually. And here will be a white accent of his clothing, so that's interesting as well. This needs some extra work. And I'm reaching the point that I don't have the discipline anymore to wait with the heightening chalk. I'm just curious now. I added some accentuation here. I thought the form of his nose was a bit undefined. Here you can see what I'm doing wrong. As you can see, there is some graphite or chalk on my finger, and I rest here, so it's best to have a piece of paper and draw this way. So you can see my mistake. Learn from my mistakes. So, and now I want to add white accentuations. So I have to be careful because there are several gradations, and I only have one such pencil. So and here the nose must be the sharpest accentuation. Oops, it's mixing with the black chalk here. So one has to be careful for mixing it. I don't want it to mix actually. I want to keep them separate. I don't want to get smudgy with the chalk. So I'm adding accentuations, and sometimes I try to clean the chalk on this white paper that I'm using to rest my hand upon as well. This is just printer paper, but I need a clear accentuation, white dot here. In his eye, gives it more character. He looks very sympathetic, so I try to get that in my drawing as well. And I'm looking if I can make it a bit less bright by putting my finger on it, but as I'm doing that, I'm also mixing the white and the dark chalk too much, so I don't use this technique very often, so I'm trying things myself now as well. I want to make more of these drawings, so I might do a better job soon. And I want to make more of that beard. I think the beard can be the eye catcher of this drawing. And too much is going to mix here, so when you are using this technique and you really want to have an area in which you want to have its main effect by the, for example, the white heightenings, then it's best to leave it open, to not add dark shadows or even a mid-tone in chalk, in dark chalk, because it's going to mix with the white. So that's something to take note of. Or you would like that effect, but I don't really like this effect. I want the blue to have its effect as a mid-tone, and now you get two kind of mid-tones, a sort of gray of the combination of white and dark chalk and the blue of the paper. Here I try to add very subtle heightenings to get some sort of extra definition. So I try to minimize the smudging, but add some accentuations, and by actually tapping this pencil on the paper like this, it leaves something on the paper without mixing too much with what's already on the paper, although it mixes, as you can see. I'm going to see if I can make this a better drawing by adding some shadows. I'm enhancing the dark and light effects, the clair-obscur here. And I usually do not use my fingers to work on drawings, but in this case I tend to do that to coordinate this chalk. So if I don't do something in general, it's not that I never do that. I mean, when I feel that it needs something like that, then I just do that. I'm adding accentuations here and there. I would like this to be slightly darker than the beard. It's too light, so I'm going to try just to press my finger. I need to have this as clean as possible. I just press my finger here and it gets a little darker, because you are removing some of the chalk by doing that. Or you can try to put your finger on it and slightly move it a little bit, so there is some friction here. Just try that yourself, but that way I try to get this slightly darker. And I can use this as well. So I try not to mix too much, the light and the dark chalk, but if it's necessary, just do it. If you need to do it to get a better drawing, then don't let principle stand in the way of making a good drawing. I think it's better now. It's a bit darker here and this looks a bit lighter. I'm going to try to make that beard a little bit lighter now. But I think I cannot make it much more lighter than this. adding more tonal values here, more shadows. And I try to be bold now. I think I'll leave it at this. Thank you for watching. Bye.